Hey everybody, big announcement. We just dropped the Super Kenn official merch store. Yes, you can support the podcast by grabbing our awesome new summer collection. Check out Super Kenn Official, and as always, thanks for listening and supporting. Welcome to Between the Fur, Jon Absey and Garett Solomon.
Sucks. I can't freaking stand up.
John's hobbling a little bit. He just had surgery yesterday.
What the heck?
On both his feet.
I got a call from the doc today. he's like, so last time I did this, I got a call from your wife because you're a little overactive with your feet. And he's like, so I hope you're being good. And I'm like, I'm really being good. I promise. Sean is in the background. I'm trying to cover the mic.
Yeah, when I talked to you a little while ago, she was saying, oh, look at that.
Change the gauze.
Oh,
wait, I got to show you one more. Just wait. This is a good one.
Oh,
geez.
Squirt.
You'll see fluid shoot out the ankle. Just wait.
Here it
See
comes.
the probe in my ankle? And then just before he shoves that one in, right? Look at that. They weren't pleasant on that. They were just like,
No, I noticed
Holy
that too.
cow.
When you sent that to me, he's just like,
Anyway, how you guys been, man? Things good?
good. Things are real good, man. Thanks for
Haven't talked to
jumping
you guys
on here.
forever. Wait a minute. Are we recording?
Yes, we are recording. Thanks for taking the time, you guys. You know, a little intro here. Jon, formerly, let's put it this way. Jon was the OG Bear in Utah, the Utah Jazz Bear. How many seasons?
25.
25 seasons. Yep. Yes. And Mascot Hall of Famer. And they have, Jon, how many, like, you've got state holidays, Bear Day, you have the keys to how many cities out there, you've got all kinds of awards you achieved out there in Utah. What's the deal with all that? Who did you pay?
You know, it does really come down to who you can pay and who you can do favors for. No, I just, Ken, and you know this is, I don't know. I really feel like I needed to find my own niche because there was you and there's Bob and everybody just had their way, like how you performed and what you did was so unique, and what Bob did and what, Wayne did. And I mean, just all these guys with their professions. And I really feel like I was like lost. Like I felt like I was kind of part of all you guys and I needed to find my own way, and it was through charity. So that was just kind of my niche.
Well, and through that developed into so many huge contributions, events, and a reputation that is unmatched in that area. So you did well there, my friend.
Well, because I was trying to keep up with you boys. So,
whatever.
The big boys.
Whatever. So also on the mic here, we have Garett Solomon. There's a relationship thing here. Garett's my oldest son. He's the mascot. What's that?
If you want to call it that.
Yeah, Garett is my oldest son, and it's really kind of cool and a privilege and an honor to have him on here as a professional NBA mascot as well. He's the mascot for the Pistons, and yeah, he was like, "Hey, so are we doing this or what? Can I be on there?" And actually, I asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, it's about time you asked me. Been waiting." So thanks for taking the time, Garett, after being on the golf course all day. Yeah, this would be good.
People have been asking me. They're like, when are you going to hop on? It's like, I don't know. He never asked me. Guess he doesn't want me.
I just thought, oh my gosh, no. He's currently in the NBA, and usually nobody will jump on because no one wants to know, and no one wants people to know, and it's a quiet thing. And so, hey, all right. Well, so let's get into this here. Let's get into some juice. Garett, Dun, dun, dun. What was it like growing up with a father who was in the NBA?
Oh, baby, I want to hear this one. Here we go.
John, we need to get your daughters on here. So,
I can yell right now. I'll get one of them. They'll tell you exactly how it was. And it wasn't pleasant. Before you go, Garrett, just wait. So, Kenny.
Yeah.
I still remember this. And this is what's so cool, I think, about your family is the fact that with everything that you were doing, I just really was envious how much time you spent with the kids and how well they handled you being the mascot. Because I remember we were doing a shootout at a junkyard and the kids were on the bus. And I remember I walked on, took my head off, we were sitting there talking, and I met them and they just sat there. And I still remember, I looked at you and I'm like, how the hell did you do that? I go, my kids would be all over the place and his kids were just sitting there. The other thing is just how respectful and just what you did as a parent to make these guys grow up to be such amazing men. There you go. He, theys. There you
go. Don't go there. Don't go there.
No, and I'm dead serious. I love your boys top down, and that has a lot to do with how you raised them and who they are today and the fact that they followed in your footsteps. So.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I had you on here today, to really pump us up, because I knew you would. No, and one thing, just to preface even more here, having Jon on here, it is for a reason, because he actually got to see Garrett grow up in this environment, and he was he played a big role in my boys' lives as well, and they've been able to call on him for thoughts, advice. At one point, Garrett was even reaching out to you saying, "Hey, I'm trying to move on from college. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. Hey, can I come work with you?" So that was in the works at one point, and you've been a great mentor as well for them. So yeah, I think this is a good fit, having all three of us on here, and I wish I could have my other son on here, but he is currently in the NBA, and who shall not be named. He's in that situation right now. So
that is honestly, it's never been done. The first time to have father sons get into the NBA, and do what he was doing, and the fact that they followed in your footsteps and love what they do because you loved what you do. I mean, I'm sorry, I know I'm totally changing this. How does that make you feel? Because I would have loved to have my daughters follow, and because I have 3 girls, you have 3 boys. But my girls, and I honestly did, I thought maybe Lexi or Sydney might want to do it. And then when I saw Alyssa and how athletic she was, I was just like, well, maybe she'll do it. No, there was no chance. They stepped away from it. Yep. But I just am so impressed with, how your boys took it, and they love it, and they're doing so well with it. So, okay, there, I'm done talking. Now go ahead, Garrett.
Well, I need at some point I want to tell you how it was on my end, bringing them to games and having them out there, at all these events. But Garrett, let's get into it. When do you first remember realizing what you were involved in?
I remember, there was a point where I, kind of things just started to click for me, especially when I started to have friends, and I used to spend time at their houses and do things with them, and we just weren't doing anything near to the stuff that we were doing growing up. And I had a lot of people at school weren't doing any of the things that we were doing. Growing up in this, we got to know a lot of different types of people with a lot of different types of backgrounds, with all the community stuff and things you were doing all over the state and the country. We got to know a lot of different people through all of that stuff.
When my boys were little, I decided that I would start taking them on birthdays with me, mascot birthdays. and back in the day, Jon, if you remember, the NBA actually sponsored mascot birthdays, and they would provide all kinds of giveaways and each for each team and a whole bunch of swag and things like that. So it was a big deal back then that the NBA started. Now we've just kept it going with each year flying people in or whatever. But they would fly in a bunch of people and to each arena. And I decided way back then that as I got to travel around to these different cities, I would forego my per diem and I would just put it towards a plane ticket for my boys. And so I would rotate my boys through each birthday that I went to. And so they got to travel the country with me and even participating in some of these games. I remember my boys being little and ended up in several cities being the little mascot, the little character. And I've got pictures of all these guys, all my sons in lots of different costumes and that type of thing. So, I guess I involved them early on, not only in traveling and meeting all the other different mascots, but I also involved them in skits, and they were my, shake it up, babies. At first I had my boys on the court at 2 weeks old and doing the whole shake it up, baby, now shake it up, baby. And
maybe that's what's wrong with us.
Shaking. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna be like, man, I can't. I think
that's where it starts.
What's interesting though is and something that I felt my kids and Garrett, you tell me what you think. Being that we got to do so many cool things, like go to the arena anytime, walk into any concert anytime, be able to go to the circus, go in the back, go. They looked at it was normal, like everybody gets to do this. And I think now that they're older, they look back, and I think they're starting to realize now that they're older that the stuff we did was unique, and nobody else got to do that. But I think back then, and Garrett, you tell me, did you feel the same way? Did you feel like, well, doesn't everybody get to hang out with a group of mascots, and doesn't everybody get to just travel with their dad, and doesn't everybody? Do you think that you felt that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how would you know any different? That's just how life worked. And until you started recognizing that your friends aren't getting let back and they need a pass, and they, you aren't just being let into things and a part of, these fun things, you don't recognize that until at least for me, until I had friends that, that I was noticing weren't doing any of that stuff. I think there was one time where we were coming back from a game, and we've all got our own passes and stuff. I don't know how old I was. I was like early teenager, maybe like 12 or 13.
I think you were more like 11 or 12, like 10, 11, maybe. 12, or, right around there. But go ahead.
Somewhere around there. But it just clicked for me. And I was like, you know what? Like, there aren't, I turned to my dad and said, there aren't a lot of people that are doing these kinds of things, because I think at that time, I don't know what year it was, but it was like we got to meet Kobe and Shaq while they were, I think before the game, while they were in the gym.
They were working out. They were in the little gym warming up.
Yeah, and things like that. Like at the time, I didn't recognize, I didn't really understand what kind of moment that was, but looking back on it, it's like, oh shoot, that they're kind of a big deal.
Just to add to that story, so we were actually driving home from a game. We were in the Mascot Mobile, in the Rocky Mobile, and it was late. Your younger brothers were asleep in the back of the van, and quietly and very thoughtfully, Garrett looks over at me and goes, Dad, there's not a lot of my friends get to do the stuff that we get to do and see the things that we get to see. And it's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, man, right? That was the night that they had met Shaq and Kobe up in the, we took a picture with them and everything. And, it just started to click at that point, and they started to recognize what they was all about. In fact, going back a little bit, I used to pick my boys up from school, take them to the game, do their homework in the back and everything, and in between be running out to practices and Q to Qs and things like that, and then come back, help them with some homework. And then a lot of times they just stay in the locker room. I'm like, come on, you guys, come out and watch the game, and you got seats out here. So sometimes they'd come out, and then I'd see that the seats were empty, and they'd be back in the locker room and stuff like that. And then I had policemen that stood outside my room there, because it was right next to the opposing team locker room. And I'd come back, and one of the the policemen stand there. He'd be like, "Hey, man, I had to poke my head in and tell your boys to keep it down." And like, I think Garrett was kicking his soccer ball against the wall. Boof, boof, boof. So, and the players sitting back here, coaches or whatever. Yeah. So it was different for them, but.
I talking about security, if you don't mind, is like, I remember going to the arena and having people, like when the kids were with, and the kids we'd get there, they'd drop their stuff, boom, and they were gone, running all over the arena. And then they'd come back and they'd have candy, they'd have something. And I just remember somebody going, "Oh my hell, aren't you worried about your kids running around the arena?" And I'm like, trust me, they're more safe here than they are in my own home, because every security person knew them. And I was like, anybody grabs one of them, there's going to be 20 security guards on them. And it's kind of cool that, when Lexi got married, being able to, I was looking around, she invited, I bet you 15 of the old security guards that, they knew that, walking around, but everybody knew them. So it was really fun to see that. It was like, they turned into their family, because I was always working. And when they'd come to the arena, they were at least able to go and talk to these people. Still have one lady, her name is Kay Murphy. And do you remember Kay? She guarded my cage.
Yeah.
Remember the little lady that sat there? But she still comes over to the house all the time. She's like our second grandma. It's awesome.
Ah, that's great, man. You build these relationships, and my boys they knew everybody, and everybody knew them. But it was different for them. Now, as you got older, Garrett, let me ask you this. So as you got older, did you think that you would want to be in the NBA? I think I asked you this a while back, and I was surprised.
It depends on how old, but no. Like, I didn't think I had what it takes. I'm not outgoing. I'm not I'm, especially when I was younger, I'm a really, really shy person. So yeah, absolutely not. I don't think it was until after my first year of college that I realized that, I actually want to do this.
Garrett, do you catch yourself though? Are you Ken in a different suit, or have you found your own way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I used to be. I've heard this from you too, is like, you look exactly like your dad in costume. And I think being away from home, being with a bunch of different people and performers, I think I've kind of built my own thing now. So I'm kind of branching out and doing my own thing. I don't think we really look a whole lot alike anymore. I think I remember I could do him if I wanted to, but but I think I found my own thing.
That's awesome. That's exactly where you needed to go.
Yeah. And I had always encouraged him, hey, as soon as you get started, look, go off of what I've taught, go off of what you remember, go off of what you've seen, but do your own thing. Now, let me back up just a little bit. When he was in college, okay, so Garrett, you went to
Dixie State in Southern Utah.
Yeah, and you were. I just don't want to be talking for you the whole time.
Dixie.
No, it was Big D. Is what it started out, and then they changed their mascot, and now he's Brook the Bison.
I, I knew that Garrett could do this. It was either that or play football. The guy was an amazing kicker. And
Wait, I can vouch for the football because I've seen him play in Mascot Bowl, and when they blow by me because I can't chase him, I swear to you, I see him run all the way across the field in his suit and just make the sweetest tackles, and I'm always like,
he started in wrestling, so he knows how to take somebody down, and then he's just got that drive and the speed to go tackle somebody. And there's more stories about him playing football. But when it came down to him going to college, I called up Dixie State and I said, "Hey, man, look, I got somebody that'll play football, be a great kicker for you, but he could probably be a great mascot as well." And the athletic director down there was like, "Man, send him our way. I would love to put him in costume and everything." So I said, "Hey, you got an opportunity here." Garrett went down there, and I remember his first football game. I was down there for it, and we got him in the costume, and I opened up the door to show the crowd and the field and everything, and I'm like, "All right, go." And he's like, "What do you mean go?" I'm like, "Go, man, go. Just go do your thing." He's like, "What do I do?" And it was interesting at that point to realize that he's with all the stuff that he's seen, he had never really had that kind of experience to go off of. And it took me back to when I first got in costume. I had no idea what I was doing. This was in high school. It was make it up as you go, and for him being shy and not having any kind of idea, what he felt like or what it would feel like or what it would look like in costume. For him, yeah, he was just like, all of a sudden, stage fright. But from there, man, and it was probably partly that I was watching.
That was a big part, honestly. That was a big part. That was tough for a number of years. Before I just stopped caring about what you think.
Good, thank you.
In my mind, I didn't know what I was going to run into going out there. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. And I don't know, I kind of just needed a plan. But, once I kind of had that mindset and kind of built a mental plan, I guess.
So what's the difference between then and now? What do you go out there when you work a crowd or whatever? What is do you have a plan for that, or do you just, is there a certain kind of plan? For
I mean, this might not be the answer that you're looking for, but I just don't care anymore.
That's the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going out there to have fun. I'm going out there to have fun with the fans. A lot of times I'll plan something. I'll plan something because I want to have fun with the crowd. So I mean, it's if it goes wrong, I just don't see it going wrong because we're going out there to have a good time. I really haven't had too many experiences where I've gone out there and it's gone really bad. I haven't, I don't know if maybe it's just because I haven't done anything super risky, but it's just about having fun and making, creating an environment for the fans and crowd.
Well, okay, Jon, can you attest to this? Look, really, this is what I tell people I'm teaching, people that are asking, "Hey, I'm getting into this," or whatever. What do I do when I work the crowd? What do I said, to stop worrying about that. Just go out and have fun. I'm like, "What do you mean just go out and have fun?" No, you just got to say, "Hey, what the heck? Whatever happens, happens." And, just let your personality come out and have a good time. Don't overthink it. Just have fun. Am I right?
no, you nailed it. I think it's interesting because that's how I started out. Is I used to go out and I had, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do the plunger and rings. And I'd walk out there and I was determined that that's what I was going to do. But I'd spend my whole time looking for a bald guy. and then I'd realize, hell, there's nobody close enough, and I'd walk back and shove it away. My favorite part, and I think I don't remember who I was talking to, one of you, about the fact that my favorite thing was when I didn't have anything to do, like a skit, and all I had to do was work the crowd. That's all I do is I would walk out, and as I'm walking, I'm like, okay, bald guy, hot chin, long hair, and I could just sit there, or else I'd be like, some opposing fan. But in my head, I was like, ding, 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 all these things would pop, and then I'd run back, get what I needed to come out, and then I'd entertain a section, and then I'd go back and I'd remember, oh yeah, there's a bald guy over there. So then I'd grab what I needed for the bald guy thing, and I'd entertain the section. And it was really just spontaneity that I used. That's the same thing with skits is, I know there's a lot of guys that practice, but I'd always go over to our PA guy and I'd give him the beginning and I go, this is where we need to get for the ending. And we'd go out there and just ad lib most of our skits. And believe it or not, a lot of times when they went south, which a lot of times they did, it turned out funnier. Because I remember one time, just sitting there just going, are you kidding me? I wish I would have thought of that. But you can't plan it. It's live entertainment and you never know what's going to happen.
There's something to be said for that spontaneity, for that, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of times I would take a little kid, I mean little, out on the court and roll him the ball. There you go. See what happens. Man, that's golden moments right there. Because sometimes the kid starts screaming. Perfect. Then you roll with that. Other times, that kid takes the ball and runs off. Oh, wait, come back. That's the game ball. Taking it to mom. Or the kid rolls it back to me. Oh, now we're playing roll the ball back and forth. And then you roll it over to the referee. And then all of a sudden the kids, there's so many different things that can happen just by starting something.
Oh, can I tell one of those, that same thing? Actually, I got two of them.
Yeah.
So one really quick one is I had Garett Solomon. I had John Stockton's kid, Michael, in this box. It was like, and it had wheels. And his cue was to tap on the box and he's going to run out as this little elf, and he's going to step on the ref's foot. But there was a whole skit in front of it. But I remember we were getting ready to wheel it out. The horn goes, and I have no idea why I did it, but I was like, okay, here we go. And I tapped the box, freaking comes running out, wrecked the whole skit. And I remember I just stood there and we wheeled everything back. It blew the skit. But that was one time nothing worked. But I remember, same thing, Kenny, is I hauled a little kid across the floor. We went over to our Lexus club where they always got candy and stuff like that sitting on their luxury seating, whatever. And I would sit and grab candy and I loaded this kid up. So he just had all this candy and I'm walking him back and the horn goes and I hear this and he dropped a whole thing of Skittles all over the floor. And I remember I just sat there and stared and then I just walked off the floor and I came back with a bucket. He was still standing there and everybody's picking up Skittles. And I dumped all this stuff in a bucket, grabbed his hand and finished and walked him over to the thing. But man, it was, and the thing that was cool is Donovan Mitchell was over there eating them. He was picking them up or eating them. So it was pretty cool.
God.
But like you said, that was actually the best part of the night because we were getting our butts kicked. So, the crowd, I don't know. But it's those fun. Those moments where you're just like, oh God.
Well, I'll tell you another little one that went a little sideways but worked out amazingly. Okay, so Dwight Howard was in the house and I had this little kid and I brought him out on the court for something and I actually planned this. Okay, so I'll tell you, hey, look, I said, so when I go to get you off the floor, you just get away from me. Just start running, And so I thought that's all it would be. Well, I thought at some point I'd run over and, swoop him up at some point. No, this kid was fast. And so as I'm chasing him around, he runs into the opposing team's huddle. Dwight Howard was sitting there on the bench, and this little kid ends up running over and sitting on his foot and holding on to his leg. I'm like, I was panicking, and at the same time, I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. And yeah, I ran over there. I'm like, come on. He just held on. Man, it was the biggest thing. They were, they had to hold the buzzer and all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love those moments because you don't really get in trouble because you always just go, I couldn't help it. I mean, it wasn't me. It was the kid. Yeah,
Couldn't help it.
I didn't know he was going to do it.
Yeah.
I actually, though, there was a couple times, actually, it was more than a couple, but that and I know you did this, Ken, you planned it that way because I knew I wasn't going to get in trouble if it was a kid. So I'd have him like, the horny go, and a kid would run across the floor, and he, like you said, and he'd be running on the floor, and I'd be out there trying to catch him, and security would be like, what the hell's going on? It was just one of those fun moments where they're like, some random kid, but it was a kid, so you don't really get nobody gets angry. They asked me if it was my fault, and I said, I didn't know.
Right.
I don't know what's going on. Even though 30 minutes earlier, I'm like, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. And then you're going to run across the floor.
Yeah. Well, that one I didn't expect. I did tell him I was going to chase him for a while. Just keep going. Just make sure you can stay away from me. And he was little too. One other time though, I think I've said this before on this. I actually took a baby. I brought it out and I gave it to the referee. This is one that was, I had no idea what was going on until, gosh, at the end it just went completely sideways. Got this baby, handed it to the referee. The referee was patting it and everything, and I walked off like I would always do. And then he's like, whoa, what should I do with this baby? And so he walks over and gives it to Coach Carl. I'm like, no. I'm back in the tunnel looking out there, and he's like, oh. He hands it to the coach, and the coach starts holding it. The game starts again. I'm like, what is happening? He's walking up and down the baseline, holding this kid, the sideline, and in front of the team and everything, patting this baby, and yeah, they wanted to fine me over that. Finally, the parent went around the back of the team, and he's like, oh, is this yours here? And yeah, they wanted to fine me for that. The NBA wanted to fine me for that. I'm like, how is this even my fault? He handed it. I handed it to the ref. You know why they wanted to fine me? Because we were playing Seattle. And George Karl was from, Seattle. And we were playing the Sonics at the time. And he was like, the coach is just trying to throw this in my face. Well, everything trickles downhill. So it ended up at the Mascots' door. Let's fine him. Yeah.
Well, the sad thing is that they wanted to fine you for the fact that, and that's where I think sports forget, is those are like magical moments that say, look, George Karl, he's a human being, and look what he did. And that just totally made fans endear to him. The fact that he didn't freak out. They're forgetting how much we were as ambassadors, and what we did was shine a light on players, coaches, and refs and said, look, they're human, and look, he loves babies, and look,
got a sense of humor. And
a sense of humor. I mean, otherwise they're just these abstract figures so far away that fans can't talk to them, touch them, or anything. And when we do stuff as a mascot, that just totally brings them into a touchable area where people are just like, oh, look, yeah.
Yeah, it just endears fans.
Arrogant, self-entitled pricks. It's like, there you go, I said.
Tell us what you think, John.
I know. Dude, oh, geez, I got my legs up on the thing trying to keep them above my heart, but it ain't working. So right now my legs are like, hey, so
you can feel
Garrett,
the heartbeat in your
I got a question for you.
What's that?
So is mascoting and everything is it what you expected?
No.
Wait, really quick, because what I think is hard for you and Drake is the fact that you guys saw, and what you kind of remember is Ken and Bob and myself and
By the
all these
way,
other old
we're
guys.
talking when you say Bob, that's just for listeners' sake. That's the gorilla or the OG gorilla was Bob Wolf.
Yeah, there you go. But I think that you guys saw, like, how to explain this. I feel like for you two, it's like when kids, like my kids right now, they're getting married. My oldest just got married in the fall. My middle gets married here in July. And they're all of a sudden just like, well, they want everything we have right now. You know what I mean? They want this house and they want, all the fur. And I'm just like, you guys are forgetting when we started out, we had a box downstairs where we had our TV on. It was just a big refrigerator box, and I had some crates that we sat on. And I go, until we started building, and we didn't acquire all this stuff, our first year. And I go, so it's going to take time. And I go, that's how I feel with you two is sometimes I think you guys are like, well, I want exactly what Ken has now, and what Jon had and what Bob had and what, some other guys have. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like it's hard to get there? I mean, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at first, I definitely think that I felt like that. Like, it was, I don't know. I had this vision in my mind, and this was just like how it was growing up. And, not that it was wrong, but it was, like you said, you have to build to that in a lot of ways. And now that I, am where I am, it's you definitely have to build to it. I'm realizing that like all those relationships, all those, things didn't just happen. They didn't just come to be. It took a ton of work, a ton of, thinking of some of the things that are going on now, like a lot of genius minds and multiple brains thinking about, how to accomplish, this goal.
You were in Cleveland for a couple years.
Yeah.
And as Moondog, and they didn't have a vehicle. They didn't have a mascot mobile, and that was rough for you. And I kept saying, hey, well, this is how you got to start this process. You got to, get them thinking about it. You got to think about a sponsor maybe so that it doesn't cost anything for them. And you got to put this together. So you got to get them to where they see the need for a vehicle.
Yeah.
And the benefits and, on and on. You got to work all that. Well, when I started, it was the same thing. Hauling my hockey bag into someplace, and they're like, yeah, back there, dress in the back, in the bathroom back there, and that was sort of tough times. And by the way, I made a rule for myself: I would never dress in a bathroom. I would walk out, I would leave in appearance. I just set a hard, fast rule: I don't dress in bathrooms. I'm above that. I had to set standards for not only myself but the character, and I think that's what we all have to do in growing. Like you said, Jon, you didn't have a vehicle when you first started. By the way, I just want everybody to know, Jon, I believe, was the first one to have a mascot vehicle. And that helped me get a mascot vehicle because I was like, hey, this is his mobile dressing room. They actually pulled the trigger on this. This is how we can do it. So that helped me a lot. I set the stage for a lot of people, but Jon definitely set the stage.
That first van was out at Miller's Motor Sports Park, buried in a pile of rubbish. And somebody, after the Miller sold it, took a picture of it. And they're like, is this your old van? I'm like, that thing is still around. And I bought it for $200.
No way.
Yeah. And it's still like the paint job and everything is still great. All we have to do is just spray clear coat on it. And I'm just like, holy hell, the inside's wrecked. But I think I don't even know what to do with it. It's sitting over at Elenco Costumes right now in their parking lot. But I'm just like, I don't know. I spent $200, but I got an old vehicle that had a lot of memories in that thing. So.
Which that's another podcast.
It's such a tough thing. Like, it's so hard knowing what something could be or should be, like the mobile dressing room dressing situation, and then going into a situation that doesn't have it and doesn't understand the need for it. I mean, I could think of 500 reasons why we need uh this mobile changing room, and it's like we're starting from scratch, and I don't know. I mean, it was so tough.
But you're in a situation now where you've got a lot of good things, and
Yeah.
um, it's different than when you were in Cleveland. It's different than when you were in college, and definitely different from what you witnessed here. But it's something that you've been able to take on. You've told me that you love this character. Why do you love this character so much?
Because the city loves the character. Our fans love Hooper, and they man, and he's got such a history here. He was introduced in '96, and I come across at least a few fans every year that grab me, pull me aside, and they'll show me a picture of them, of Hooper holding them when they were a baby, and they're like, "This is me now, 25 years later," and
Awesome.
it's really really cool.
Something that's hard, and getting teams to acknowledge that you are more than just the entertainment, because I always feel a lot of teams sometimes just group the mascot in with the dancers, in with the stunt team or dunk team. And it's like, no, because, dancers come and go. Hooper will always be here. This is your brand. The Bear, it was their brand. And
Players will come and go. They
yeah,
wrap so many promotions around players
and then
and
they're gone.
sponsors, and then all of a sudden, phew.
I remember specifically, Jiffy Lube did a lunchbox, 10,000 lunchboxes that were going to be given away. And it was Raul Lopez, and he left, or they traded him or whatever. 10,000 lunchboxes they were going to throw. And I remember just like, are you kidding me? So I brought him over to all these like, Title One schools, and just, I was, anyway, but it's that exact reason why all of a sudden Jiffy Lube always used the Bear for the lunch boxes, because the Bear, even if I'm not there like I'm not now, the Bear's still there. 28 years and he's still there, but it ain't me, but that character will be there. And that's what they need to understand is they need to embrace these characters and say you are part of the brand. And by making you, bigger, you're creating more need for you in the community. I mean, it helps them. They just are too short-sighted and don't see it because everything's so wrapped around these players, but they don't understand that, you can be just as big as the player. I mean, Kenny, I know that you get surveys back in the day. When we did surveys, the Bear was ranked third in popularity under Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. And it was back in Karl Malone days. It was John, Karl, and the Bear. I mean, the rest of the team wasn't even,
Yeah.
really close. And they need to understand that by supporting you, they can create just this monster of a asset and a branding. So, but a lot of people, they don't get it. Too short-sighted.
Well, and I think that's,
Good.
yeah, boom, mic drop. Let me add to that real quick because that how is how things have shifted. It's no longer in a lot of cases. Um, you, well, let me put it this way. I think everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel here a little bit, and let's bring in this group and I always said, hey, look, if you would spend half the budget on what you just brought in here, that group or whatever, if you throw a little bit of money, to the mascot for that budget, oh man, we could do just so much more, and your money would be much better spent. The mascot is the brand. The mascot is your extension into the community. The mascot is consistent. Garrett is a hard worker. I love, love, love the stuff that he produces. Man, I think the Pistons are lucky to have my boy.
Honestly, though, Kenny's, you nailed it. Is both your boys, um, teams should be lucky to have that because there's a history. They know what the program can be like. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They saw one of the best programs in the NBA for 20 plus years, and um, teams need to acknowledge the fact that these guys have seen more than some of the management that's managing these guys. You know what I mean? These guys have been around game entertainment more than the game entertainment director that's doing the show. So I mean,
In a lot of cases.
Garrett and Drake, and hell, throw Cade in there. He was there too. You got to talk about Cade.
That's right.
I love that kid. So
Cade's on the mic over here. He's my producer. What's up? I haven't brought him on yet.
Cade, I love you.
Say something, Cade.
Hey.
But I mean, seriously, Ken, is your boys, Cade, Drake, Garrett, all were more involved in game operations when they were kids than some of the game operation directors running any of the teams in the league right now. And the fact that Garrett and Drake are in the NBA doing their thing, one, says a lot to you about how, what they know and what they've taken from you. But then the other thing is, what I loved what Garrett said is he gets it now. Like he said, he started out like, what do I do? But he gets it now where it's just go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Go out, because if you're having fun, they're having fun.
Yep.
And I mean, with that knowledge right there, Garrett, you're gonna, that's the first step into the next level.
Yeah. I've always told my boys, hey, most important thing, have fun. Man, don't, if it's not going to be fun, don't do it.
I think I've only just started to learn that in the past season or so, like started to embrace that concept, at least like really. Been told it a million times, but it's taken a while for me to like really just go out and have fun. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have, at the end of the day, whatever happens is going to happen, but we're going to work hard and we're going to have fun.
Well, I think that's
throw in 2 cents.
Yes. I was about to wrap
my
up.
2 cents. So for all the guys listening out there,
For all you new
there
guys.
you go. I'm just saying is, the other thing that, since you're young, and that's where I'm actually touching base with, is with all the younger guys, I know they watch Bob and Ken and myself and a plethora of other guys, Tim Dirk, all the, the Wayne Jordans, all the guys that, built this for everybody. But, when we were doing stuff, like when I was doing stuff, I never took into account what was going to happen to me when I got older. So I'm just saying up front, always think about down the road, because we would laugh. Kenny, how many times did we laugh? And we would do something stupid, and I was like, oh, you're going to feel that when you're 60. It's like, nope, 54. That's when I'm feeling it. And then you end up in this shit right here. On both feet, too. Look.
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying is,
that's classic.
Remember, whatever you do, it might seem cool and it might seem fun, but it will bite you in the ass down the road. And just remember that. The other thing is, I don't know what else. Just don't be stupid. Don't do stupid stuff like I did, because I'm paying for it. There. Oh, I know what I was going to say. With your kids, the other one I was going to say, and I don't know how Kenny did it. Kenny was amazing at the fact that, with the situation you guys were in, how well and how much he was around you guys and how much he influenced you guys. That was my problem. I never, he always put you guys first. And I'll say it, I screwed up, didn't put my kids first or my family first. It was the job, because in my head, it'll pay off down the road. Well, it never did. So don't do that. Make sure you do what your dad did. Put your family first. The job is not going to care about you when you're done. They're not going to be there with a big, fun parade. It's over. When it's over, it's over, and they don't care. You're a number. They used you. When you're done, you're done. So just make sure that when you have a birthday party for your child, or you have something going on, do that first. The job can they can go, because it will not be there. So Just make sure to do what your dad did. Put you guys first.
Wow, thank you for that compliment. But yeah, family first. That's a great lesson. There's some great lessons in this. Man, there's some great lessons in this. I really appreciate stuff like that. And it's so true that you can have, you You can have fun, but keep things in perspective. You will, feel it later on. Either way, whatever you do, there's always consequences, good or bad. And so, yeah, man, look at that. You guys, thanks for being on.
It's
I
over?
appreciate it. We got to wrap this up, man. It's been like an hour.
Come on, we're still talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just keep that rolling. We're gonna talk.
We're gonna keep. Let's go.
Listen, you guys, this is the most excitement I've had in the last couple of days. I've been laying on my ass on a couch with my feet in the air like this with ice on these things. I'm ready to talk, man.
Hey, but okay. Let me say one thing about your family, just so everybody knows. Jon's still married, still has 4 women in his life that love and care about him and taking care of him and all that stuff right now.
I love how you said it with such, and he's still married. Like, holy shit.
Well, you made it sound like, I didn't put my family first and I'm paying for it now.
No, I know.
I didn't want to. I just wanted to clarify.
I'm just saying is that your children, your boys, they take after you. You look at them, they're Ken's boys. You look at my girls, they're Shauna's girls. The only thing that they have from me is, sometimes they like my youngest, me and my youngest.
Good thing they don't have your looks.
That is 100% spot on. I say that. Thank God they look like their mother and not me. But yeah, I don't know what they got from me, but
Man.
I'm trying to make up for it.
Well, you're a good
Well,
man.
to your point about like the company, not taking care of you when you're done. Like, I think my dad learned that when I was in middle school, probably when they, eventually came to him and gave it, said, we're not going to pay you what we agreed anymore. And, I think that was kind of a wake up call for him. So that, although at the time it really sucked, I think it paid off. And I think that's the way it did pay off. Benefited us a ton. But,
everything happens for a reason. And that was when, the world was going through a big recession and luckily I kept my job. So, looking at the silver lining there, they cut my pay quite a bit, but I was lucky to still have a job and happy to still be able to perform and things like that. And, but it was a wake-up call that said, hey, get out there, start, thinking about the future, investing in different things but,
well, sorry to bring that up, but I thought it was a key moment.
It was.
It
was an eye-opener for me.
I was actually shocked because I remember all that stuff when you were going through it and talking with you, and maybe it's because I was in that business and how we look at it and what our perception of what mascoting is. But I was shocked. I was just like, I'm just saying, I remember sitting there going, well, if they can do that to Ken, they can do that to me and Bob. I mean, they can do it to anybody. Yeah. Because, Kenny, you created your character was, the best guy in the world. Like I always tell people, like one of the guys that can go out there and just do a few movements with his head and hands. I can seriously in my head go, I know exactly what he's saying, but you can say 1,000 words with just a few moves. And I'd be like, holy shit, I can't do that. So that's why I was just shocked that they even considered, back then doing that to you. And I think that opened up the eyes to a lot of guys in the league.
Honestly, greatest job in the world.
Yep.
As much as there's politics in everything, as much as there's hoops, as much as there's employers and bosses and things like that, still greatest job in the world and greatest feeling to get out there and perform, at this level. So, that's why I had some great advice at the time because I was very hurt. I took it personally. I thought that I would, I'll show them and I'll quit and I'll, I had some very good advice then though. And it was, hey, you still make a good salary. You love what you do. So go make it work. Buckle down. and get it back. Like, okay, challenge accepted. And that's what I did. It honestly was the best thing that happened, to me, in a lot of ways. Because I have businesses now. I have other sources of income and things that I like to do, not things that I have to do. So,
Right.
It's been good. And I've still been able to work with my sons, and I've had Cade over here work at a trampoline park that I owned for 3 years. He ran it with Garrett in St. George, Utah. And now, is that Shauna?
It's Sydney.
Sydney. Speaking of one of the
She
girls.
looks so happy.
She's like, no, I'm not getting on there. Sydney, what's up, girl? How are you?
We were just talking about how great his kids were because he raised them and how well they did. And I was like, I feel bad I wasn't around for my kids. Your mother raised you guys.
See, now, look, as we were saying before, it's a good thing his girls didn't get his looks.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
It's true. No, she knows it. She's just being nice.
Flat out. Yep, exactly.
But no, the two of his boys, Drake and Garrett, are both in the NBA Mascot.
That's awesome.
And I was telling him that I was hoping that you guys would step in. And then down the road, I saw you guys going, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
That's awesome, though.
Don't want to put on a costume, huh?
No, not my thing.
Hey, did you ever put on a costume? Did you ever put on your dad's costume or anything like that? Did you were you ever a little bear?
Yeah, when we were little, only once though.
Only once? What did you do?
Twice. I thought it was twice. But
We did like a little skit.
yeah, the little bear thing.
Oh,
But I do got a
love
story
it.
about her. So I remember when she was super young, hadn't seen the bear yet, and they came to a game, and I come walking out of the cage. I swear to God, you guys, it was like something kicked in her head and natural instinct happened, and she didn't break eye contact, and she slowly and just laid on the floor and played dead. It was the funniest. And I remember just sitting there watching her slowly go to the floor, and she just laid down and stared at me. I was laughing so hard. It was like, she was like,
I cannot deal with this mentally. I'm just gonna lay down. This is overload.
it was way overload for her, but that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I remember Lexi. We did remember the Alexis brothers?
Uh-huh.
So we did the Bear and Alexis, and yeah, I balanced her on one hand, and I still remember the end of it. I chucked her to Luke, my old assistant, and she flew in the air. And you know how it is, game time, you just get a little bit more energy. I just chucked her, and she almost went over his head, and he tripped on a cord, and you heard the crowd just go, whoa, like I'd have been murdered if she would have hit the floor.
Oh my gosh. You lucked out on that one.
So, but no, but that was
great.
His boys, man, he used them all the time.
That's
We
fun.
we did one where we did the Village People, and we did YMCA. There was Big Rocky, Medium Rocky, Big Rocky, Little Rocky, Littler Rocky. I mean, right on down.
Barcode on the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah. And so they all went out there as different characters and everything. We did the whole Village People YMCA thing. I had just enough people. I grew my own help. I grew my own assistants.
That's
I
awesome.
grew my own plants. Yeah. And I grew my replacement.
It's just fun. You know what though is just it's fun watching your kids grow up, getting to experience all that stuff like we were talking earlier.
We recorded.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're on a podcast right now,
Sorry.
Between the Fur.
I would have been more excited. I was just doing my laundry. I didn't know.
Yeah. But she gets married July 15th.
I do.
So
What?
Yeah.
Garrett
Nice.
married and has kids already.
Nice.
Don't do it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Wow. How's Dad doing with all this? This is 2 in 1 year.
I
Yeah.
know.
I think he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to be straight up. It's going to be hard having her gone because she's so easy. To have her leave the house, I keep thinking, the whole empty nester thing, and if they're gone, it's going to be tough.
No one's going to do the dishes.
Dang it! See, that's what it comes down to.
So,
Well, Cindy, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have been more fun. I didn't know what was happening.
You were fun. You were fun. Yes.
thank you, Sid.
You're welcome.
It's like,
There you go.
this is like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Let's go on. Hey,
Exactly.
who's that at the door?
Hey,
Thanks for stopping in. And thanks for listening to Between the Fur, you guys. Peace. Have a great day.
Wait.
Thanks for being on. What?
Cade is actually the one running this whole damn thing.
And
You
you're
know
pointing at him right
it.
now.
Give that boy some props.
Yes. I gave him a shirt.
If it
Whatever,
wasn't
I
for
bought
Cade,
it.
I don't think
Dude,
any of
I'm
this
serious.
would be
If it
going on
wasn't-
right now.
if
Kenny
it
and I
wasn't
are
for
too
Cade.
damn old to figure this out.
For my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, and play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in, I get it in, I get it in. And for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in,